Hello, welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 2.
Again.
If you were on the live stream, technical difficulties. We're in person this time, so new setup and stuff.
It's all right. We're powering through.
Yep.
You know, we were blessed with a perfectly fine first episode, so it had to hit sometime.
Oh my gosh, this was going so well too.
It was. We had our witty banter.
I know. Yep.
Going back and forth, but it's all right. We can turn it back on.
Yep. All right. What are you drinking, Andrea?
All right. So I've got an Irish whiskey here, Dubliner. I hung out with some friends and family this week who have both taken trips to Ireland. Rave reviews, by the way, if anybody's looking for a travel destination. And they both visited the Dubliner distillery, so I thought,
Nice.
Why not?
Cool.
Give it a shot. I like it so far. It's pretty good, even with this ice melting in my drink, John.
With our restart, it's getting all extra watered down now. Yep.
So what have you got for us?
I'm drinking a highball I made, Japanese highball.
Mm-hmm.
Got some shochu. There's a reason for it. You'll see later, as we talk about it later.
Absolutely.
Why. So, your week, how's your week been?
Oh, not awesome. Not awesome, John. We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but, I've had a trifecta of negativity in my week. My beloved Green Bay Packers lost to the San Francisco 49ers. They will not be in Super Bowl 52.
I don't mean to smile, but
but you kind of do.
I kind of do, yeah.
You kind of do. It's okay. I married a Viking fan, so he smiled too.
Yeah.
Not on the night of.
Yeah.
Not on the night of the loss. I mean, he's...
You were distraught, so he did smile.
Exactly. So that was my first unfortunate corner of my trifecta. The second was, I have a ringtone on my phone. I dearly love it. It's been there for 10 years. I said it in college, and it's the song Call on Me by Eric Prydz. And I really love this song, but I was driving on the way home from work this week, and a song came on the radio, and I was like, man, this seems familiar, but it's not quite what I know. And I found out, to my great shock and surprise, that the song Call on Me by Eric Prydz is not an original, as I had assumed, but it's instead a remake of a 1982 Steve Winwood song called Call on Me. And, I kind of hate it.
I've come to hate your ringtone, but I would like to
give this version a shot?
I feel like maybe this is the version to win me over.
It's very 80s. You can definitely tell when it's made. It's very, do you remember Rick Rolling?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this song is very in the same vein as Never Gonna Give You Up. It's got some of the same synth pop
never
beats.
Understood it took me a while to understand. What do you mean? Are you a Rick Roll?
Rickroll.
I never did it to anyone.
Sure.
Someone did it to me once, and then I didn't. What is that? Okay. All
right.
I get it now, but that took a while.
Yeah, you kind of have to be in the right mindset, otherwise it feels a little anticlimactic.
Yeah.
You're like, what
is
this?
Here's this video sharing. I don't know what it is at all. So then they play this video, and I'm like, okay.
Right.
I thought that's what I was supposed to be watching right now.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I came to Rick Rolling very late in life. I did not do my first Rick Roll until I was a professional at my workplace, actually,
nice.
and Rick rolled the entire office.
Nice.
I had the right office mates for that kind of thing. You need people who roll with it. But yeah, I thought it was hilarious. So I'm late to the whole 80s pop game, since I didn't know about Rick Rolling and I didn't know that this song existed. So
okay.
And then the top to my trifecta, the biggest thing that happened to me this week is I found out after talking to my husband about our last episode and how we discussed that Facebook has that Facebook Live and Facebook Watch platform, that they have my all-time favorite show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, on it. And I learned that he's never seen a single episode, John. And I was so shook. This was like the most shocking thing I could have learned about him. After 5 years of marriage, I thought I knew him. Turns out I don't know him at all.
What's it gonna be?
I've got to rethink everything. I know. What's my shot gonna be in 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this is how anniversary gifts are supposed to work.
I've never clipped my toenails ever. They just grow. Something like that,
yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, it just shows you can never truly know someone, you know. And so as soon as we're done watching Supernatural together, which is our current show, we will be watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So
fair. Shorter. It's a shorter show.
Yes. Hopefully the shorter will make him go for it. I mean, we're about halfway through Supernatural right now, so I feel like we're working at a steady clip. But
nice.
Yeah, that was my week. How about your week? Anything exciting for you?
It's just been getting ready for this, and so much for that. You know, I bet I got some new equipment, so hopefully things look better, and hopefully things go smoothly going ahead.
For sure.
But yeah, been working on that along with the regular life. I was not shook by a sports event or anything like that, so that's good.
No revelations about your spouse?
No. Nope. I'll think about it. No. So, no. But, last week we talked a lot about television. We'd also mentioned, in passing anyways, that we should do a Star Wars episode.
Absolutely. I mean, after that, controversial Rise of Skywalker ending, I feel like everybody has a lot of opinions.
Yep.
Including us.
This isn't it.
No.
So, but there is Star Wars news. There's always Star Wars news. There's always Star Wars controversy. And stupid thing went to sleep. There's a button on the left there.
Okay.
Down low, yeah. But it's Taika Waititi is director of Thor Ragnarok, What We Do in Shadows, Funny
Jojo
Guy.
Rabbit.
Yes, yeah, that's right. And he's in the news about maybe being in talks for Star Wars. And,
absolutely. I'd be ready
excited?
for it.
You're excited for that?
Well, he's already dipped a little baby toe into the waters of Star Wars since he directed one of the last episodes of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It's I think it's a good way for him to kind of ease into and get some familiarity. If this is going to be true, if he's going to direct one, I think it'd be a great way for him to get some exposure into that universe.
Yeah.
I think it would be a very different Star Wars. Okay. Just much as Thor Ragnarok was very different from the first two movies. I mean, it's a lot lighter. It's a lot more fun. The pacing's faster.
So would you like to see him, tackle like a trilogy, or you want to see him do some sort of offshoot?
That's a great question. And actually, I hadn't thought about this before, but since there's also been some rumblings of, maybe bringing back Solo, bringing back for a Solo 2, kind of, I think people were quick to judge it. And now in hindsight, everybody's maybe giving it a second shot and realizing, okay, this wasn't their best effort, but not as terrible as we maybe thought at first. So I think pairing Taika Waititi with something like Solo 2 would bring a lot of fun into it. And I think that was kind of missing from Solo 1.
What do you think about, I make a lot of, big deals sometimes about the way fans react to different stuff or whatever, and I certainly have my strong reactions.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, in the end, usually there's a whole bunch of people out there that just want to have some fun at the movies or whatever, and they're not invested or really bigly, hugely involved or whatever. And so Solo, to me, came off of The Last Jedi, which had a lot of bad publicity, kind of left a bitter taste in a lot of people's mouths. But again, time and time again, that's shown that sometimes that doesn't make that big a difference. I don't know. Do you think that makes a big difference, that to make the hardcore fans happy? Or is it just ultimately, enough mainstream people are going to see this stuff anyways? And
Sure. Yeah, I think there's a balance you have to strike with your fans, between your hardcore fan base and, people who are just kind of looking, like you said, for maybe a good time at the movies. I think when you've really done something wrong is when everybody pans it for a long time. I think you can be cautiously hopeful when, even if something's panned initially. Sometimes people do, like I'm saying with Solo, come back to it and think, maybe we were a little harsh, maybe we were a little quick.
Yeah.
Let's give it another shot.
Right.
And I think that's also true of The Last Jedi. Mm-hmm. I know we weren't going to get into Star Wars too deeply, but I think that there have been hardcore fans who are just not going to be happy with it. But there are some fans who I think have come around to, we were trying to do something different here. It was a bit innovative. Maybe it missed the mark, but we don't have to, we don't have to kill it. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into it too deep because it really is a full show and we're going to try to keep this a little bit shorter. So I will abstain. I'll abstain right now because really we should probably move on because we still have more Star Wars to talk about.
We do.
It's Obi-Wan.
Yes.
Obi-Wan was a show that there's been rumors about for quite a long while, really. Mm-hmm. And then they confirmed it.
Yep.
That was happening, and Ewan McGregor seemed happy to reprise the role. And now it's been, over the last week, a lot of drama, a lot of back and forth. There's a YouTuber, Grace, that has a channel Beyond the Trailer. I recommend watching her kind of deep dive breakdown of what's transpired over the week on those events. But it's always a mess right now. It's always a mess. So right now, Obi-Wan for Disney Plus is on indefinite hold.
Yes.
So the crew is not committed. They've all been let go or whatever.
Yes.
Ewan McGregor says that he is he said January 2021 maybe or something like that, but he doesn't know that. That's not it's just trying to be positive about it.
Right.
Do you think it's going to happen? Or?
I think it's going to happen. I think January 21 is, like you said, a bit optimistic. But maybe trying to keep the hope alive. Yeah. I mean, I heard that they're doing a total rewrite. That they sat down and the script was just so terrible at the first shooting that it just, they've got to totally and completely redo it, which, as a fan who wants the show to come out, hurts. Mm-hmm. As a fan who wants the show to be good, would rather have this happen. It's tough because you get excited about things and then they get delayed and, it's you kind of fall out of love with it maybe. But in the end, I think if you're a true fan, you want it to be good. And if it was that bad, I don't want to see that. Obi-Wan.
I agree. I don't want to either. I think I just am shocked they can't get their ducks in a row here.
Sure.
The other thing that came out with it is they supposedly started seeing it, and it's like, it read a lot like The Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. You knew about The Mandalorian. It's coming out.
Right, you're not writing in a vacuum.
It's been in the works for a long time. It's the same thing as not planning out your trilogy. Now you've got these... It's weird because Disney owns Marvel and Lucasfilm, and it seems like Marvel is bing, bang, boom. Mm-hmm. One thing after another, plan, structure, everything's connected, and this is just weird. It's so strange to me.
Yeah, I think Disney's learning and growing a lot in their streaming service, and I think perhaps Disney Plus was released a bit before it should have been. Disney is a large umbrella and they're only getting larger. And I think having their hand in so many different kinds of mediums and having so many literal shows or movies or products to put out, I think it's hurting in quality. I think they're doing a little too much quantity and maybe getting away from quality a bit.
I'd be interested to see the numbers now because I know to start, Disney Plus, it got off to a crazy start.
Yeah.
It came out late in the year, but it rocketed to the top of most searched things, and it was a lot of press around it. I'd be interested to see if people have held on to it or how the free stuff from Verizon are getting it different ways has helped bundling. You get Disney Plus and Hulu and ESPN like that. If it's maintained that or what, or if it's fallen off.
Sure. Yeah, I think we probably won't get to see those kinds of numbers for a bit. And even then, it'll really only be U.S. numbers since it's not out yet for most of the world. Yep. I think that happens in March or April.
I'm kind of glad it came out because maybe this stuff is going to scare away others.
Scare away others?
Not that I'm rooting for Disney.
Interesting take. I
just mean that we've talked... We'll get to streaming here in a second, but there's so many streaming services already that we needed... I'm hoping there's other companies like, all right, look... We were going to do our thing, but there's so many big players now. Let's just make deals, and get our content somewhere else,
Right.
I think that's hopeful thinking, but yeah.
No, I agree with you in that sense. I mean, we talked last week about how there's too many streaming services and they're diversifying so much that you can't find like this content that you want in one place anymore. Like when Netflix first started, it was, the only player in the game and you had to go to Netflix, but it was nice because once you had it, you had access to everything, and now it's like I'm paying for these individual ones. Like, where does it end? And will I be paying for 74 individual channels again?
Yep. And the content's always moving now. You get different deals with different people. The other topic I want to bring up was Doctor Who. That was on, I think, Amazon. They were all on Amazon for a while, and then not. I don't remember if they were ever on Netflix or not.
I think they were very briefly.
But it's always shifting, so where can I watch whatever,
Yes, I have started and stopped Sons of Anarchy on 4 different platforms because it jumps and I almost get to finish, and then all of a sudden I'm in the middle of season 5 or something, and it's jumped platforms, and I'm like, crap, I gotta go find it on this other one, restart all this again. So it's tough. It's tough.
Well, the Doctor Who news I had was just the low ratings. So more negative. Oh my gosh, Popcast and the Rocks. Negative Nancy show. Sorry, Nancy's. It's when was the last time you watched Doctor Who regularly or anything?
Oh, it's actually been a while for me. I have not even watched the new Doctor.
Okay.
Sadly, I stopped with Capaldi. Okay. I stopped, I think, about a season and a half into Capaldi.
Okay.
And for me, I felt the writing just wasn't there. It wasn't. I mean, I got used to him as the Doctor. There's always, I think, a transition period when you get a new Doctor, and you feel out how you like them and what they do. But the writing for me for the episodes just wasn't there, and I felt like he wasn't being given, enough to do, enough show content that would showcase him as the Doctor. The writing felt very flat. That being said, I actually talked to a coworker whose favorite episode is actually a Capaldi episode.
Oh,
it's the end of season 2.
Okay.
So I'm gonna push through. I trust his taste. We agree on a lot of things. I'm gonna push through, and I'm gonna try and see if I can maybe restart it back up.
I have an idea of where that would be then, I guess, but I get a little mixed up.
A little muddled. Sure.
Yeah, I did try the new Doctor, but only the first few episodes.
What was your take?
It was if they're gonna do a female Doctor, which they decided to do, then I thought they casted quite well for that. I didn't like her sonic screwdriver. It was really ugly. And her outfit, I could give or take, but she did a good job.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
She was convincing, but everything around her just fell flat, there weren't companions that I was really interested in.
Well, that's the thing I've heard is too many companions.
Yeah. Well, I know in the past, I'm guessing they're trying to, go for some things in the past. Sometimes the Doctor had like a group almost, around him, but I just think it's time for a break.
Sure.
They need to do the break like they did after the 8th Doctor, and there was the big, and then kind of do a relaunch. So it still continues, but I just, at this point, the actors are getting a raw end of the deal. They're like getting, especially Capaldi was such a big fan. He's a huge fan of Doctor Who, and so he finally gets the role, and he's not given he's not given quality episodes. I mean,
Right.
he has some. I did enjoy plenty parts of it. But,
I agree. There were definitely. I don't mean to pan it wholly.
Yeah.
There were definitely episodes that I enjoyed, but it just happened less frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like you said, he's getting a raw end of a deal, and it's a much different experience than David Tennant coming in as the 10th Doctor, who was also a huge fan of Doctor Who, and he comes in and gets, I think, the role of a lifetime because he's many of the younger generation's favorite Doctors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying all.
Yeah, because Matt Smith is better, you know.
Oh, tension. Shut it down. No, I'm kidding.
Leave a message in the comments. You know, who's your favorite
Who's
Doctor?
your favorite Doctor? Yeah, obviously mine is 10.
Yeah.
I did enjoy Matt Smith, absolutely. I thought he had some great episode arcs. But yeah, just to relate fan to fan coming in and playing the role, what disparate experiences from David Tennant, you know, kind of elevation to Peter Capaldi falling.
I realized last Christmas how sad I was that, like, the quality had gone down.
You didn't want to watch the Christmas special?
Well, so we got up early or whatever, and they were playing like a Doctor Who marathon. And there was a Christmas special that I had never seen.
Oh.
Somehow, I don't know, maybe it was the years in Japan or something. I don't know, something, and I didn't see that one.
Okay.
And it was one with Matt Smith and I'm blanking on his name, but Professor Dumbledore.
The second Michael Gambon.
Yes.
The current. Okay.
Yeah.
Not Richard Harris.
Right.
First.
Yeah. And it just was magical. I was like, oh my god, because for me it was like this was all new. I hadn't seen it. And it was great, and I
revived your joy.
Yes, and so we've gone back and watched some of the other stuff. We watch some of the classic Doctor Who as well, and yeah, it just makes me sad because I remember the passion I had for that series for a while, and yeah, it's
fizzled.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I think sometimes it's a product of time, and sometimes, unfortunately, in this case, I think it's a product of writing.
Yep.
So, but it shows you how key writing is. And it shows you maybe why rewriting Obi-Wan is so important.
Yeah. You get it right. You know?
Yeah.
You get it right. Just, like, I'll have a meeting and figure out, but...
Just get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Doctor Who, like I say, not on Amazon Prime anymore, but, it's on, I think, Netflix in the UK. I don't remember, but streaming services. You got stuff that's coming out this week? You got...
Yes. We've got a couple different things that are coming out this week. Obviously, I think the biggest thing is Star Trek Picard, which is now out on CBS All Access.
I've been hearing good things.
I have too. I think I'm cautiously optimistic for the rest of the series. I know they kind of opened with a kind of fan servicey episode.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think you...
As you do.
Yeah, I think you want to do that. You want to remind everyone, bring back the nostalgia for those who watched, Next Generation, as I did.
Okay.
That was the Star Trek that I watched first, before branching out into the other universes. But, and so Picard was my first captain. Okay. Not Kirk. What about you? Was your...
Yeah, what was my first Star Trek? Star Trek wasn't on in the house much growing up.
Okay.
But I feel like the first thing, or definitely what resonates more with me, is the original Star Trek. I saw that a little bit more.
Okay.
And very little of Next Gen.
Okay.
Much to many people's disapproval. And I have seen some, and it's like, okay, I like what Star Trek does. They have this, it's a continual story, but it's kind of like a lesson to each episode. Mm-hmm. And it does what, at its best, it does what Doctor Who used to do with the really opening your mind, get to use your imagination, really does transport you someplace. Even the original, like, I realize now that Spock, such a badass. Like, you go back and watch now, Spock is awesome. So, yeah, original for me.
Sure. Well, no wonder that they made Spock the focus of much of the newer movies.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. I also, relating to entertainment news and Star Trek Picard. I learned this week that Patrick Stewart's dear friend Ian McKellen actually advised him to turn down the role of Picard when he was first offered it. Yeah. McKellen had said, you're doing so well. He was doing West End London theater at the time, but was a rising star there, and was hoping to parlay that into other things. And Ian McKellen said, you should turn down this role, and thankfully Patrick Stewart didn't listen to him, and apparently Ian McKellen has since admitted he was wrong to say that.
In hindsight, yes, he was wrong, but at the time I can see the advice.
Yeah.
A lot of television shows, we talked before how television was always a step down.
Yeah.
And I don't know how theater would equate it, but probably look down their nose a little bit at it, because it's different.
Entertainment for the masses.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it just happened to be one of those shows that.
Yeah, he got lucky. I mean, it's not always the case. A lot of actors I think make the jump and then. Maybe they're there for a hot minute and then they fade away. Yep. Whereas if maybe they'd waited for something else. So it's all a gamble.
Right.
So, moving on to other things. The thing that I watched this week that's coming out on Netflix is Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, season 3.
Oh, that's coming this week already.
Yep, it dropped yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So I've watched the first 2 episodes. I am pleasantly surprised about where the storyline has taken its next turn.
Okay.
But I'm a little hesitant about some of the production value.
Okay.
So
that's weird.
Yeah. It's kind of the opposite of what I think usually happens. So for anyone who has or hasn't watched Sabrina, they are traveling to hell in this season. This isn't a spoiler, but spoiler alert. Right, happening right now. Last season, Sabrina learned that her father is Lucifer, so the king of hell. And so she is now the daughter of the king of hell. He has been locked away, so she has now taken the role of queen of hell. So that's kind of an interesting plot twist that I think is fantastic.
Sure.
She's balancing actually her normal high school life and being a cheerleader and then queen of hell at night. So it's this really hilarious contrast that they play with. But the scenes in hell have a very I'm in a horror house, a haunted house kind of feel, rather than I'm in this high budget world.
Okay.
So I will keep watching. I'll
they
keep
didn't
everybody.
Get a budget increase.
Yeah, it's very strange. So I'm a little disappointed with how that's been going, but I will hold out for the rest of the season and let you know next week what I think. So I'm sure I'll have finished it by then. I'm actually going to skip a little bit because there's not a whole lot.
Short on time, I think.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot for movies coming out this week, but Hulu has Tokyo Ghoul season 3 coming out. And I know that you've watched that as an anime lover. Mm-hmm. For those of you who don't know, Tokyo Ghoul is an anime.
Yeah. I've seen season 1 and 2, and I enjoyed them. I cosplayed as one of the characters.
Yes, very successfully, I thought. We'll throw up a picture, maybe.
Will we? Will we?
Will we? I think we will.
It's, I thought season 3 was out a while ago, must be coming to a service here or something, because I remember being talked about and me not being able to see it. Do you know what service it's on?
It's on Hulu.
It is? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I wonder if it was on only Funimation for a while or something like that.
Right.
They do their simul-dub stuff, yeah. So season 2 wasn't as good as 1, so we kind of fallen off a little bit.
Sure.
Even though there were some really cool moments. So I hope that it picks up for season 3.
Sure.
So we'll go a little over time here, if you'll stick with us, if we're not being too boring.
Maybe do an extra 5 minutes.
Yeah, so everybody asks, I think everybody asks, if I was asked me, what's your first anime?
Yeah, so I have 3 listed only because I think they're different experiences. My first anime that I didn't know what I was watching at the time was actually Pokemon.
Okay.
I didn't know that was considered anime as a kid. I just thought it was part of my Saturday morning cartoons.
Yep.
when I grew up to know what anime actually was, as a kind of genre, Hetalia was my first, and that really wasn't me sitting down to watch it. That was me kind of, coming in to see what you were watching and being like, what is this? And what's happening? And being in the middle of a season is sort of very confusing.
Yep.
I think especially for anime, you really have to sit down and start from episode 1. Which the first anime that I did that for was Ouran High School Host Club, recommended to me by your wife.
Okay, yeah.
As an intro anime.
Yeah.
Kind of an easy to follow, fun.
Anime is like beer. You need to have. Yeah. You don't necessarily start with a porter or an imperial stout or something like that. Mm-hmm. You have your progression, and and same with, I think, whiskey or wine. Coffee. A lot of these people start with their coffee super sugary, and then they kind of, I want to taste some coffee now.
Right.
So I think anime is the same way. If you start too out there, it can be shocking and turn you off from it pretty quick. So
I agree. And I started Ouran as an English dub.
Okay. Yep.
So, I mean, that's also kind of, I think, an intro route that people can take is, if you're not quite ready to get to subtitles. I mean, I know, it can move pretty fast in Japanese and feel like, whoa. So English, I mean, I know there's a lot of opinions, dub versus sub. But I think if somebody's introing, it's an easy way, like I said.
It is. I mean, I still, for a lot of shows, enjoy a dubbed show. Yeah, it's like, I agree. Usually more lighthearted or something like that. The issue is now that, and it's not really an issue, it's just, the state of things, is that we have a lot of access to a lot of anime now. And if you want that new stuff, you want it quickly, it's usually going to be in Japanese.
Right.
I know Funimation, if you pay for their service and stuff, they have their simulcast, their simul dubs, and that's nice. But otherwise, it's like, if I want to watch something current, I'm gonna be reading it. Right. And that's the way I prefer dramas. Generally speaking, like, I know some people watched Attack on Titan dubbed, and I'm like, not to like poo-poo on the actors or whatever for that, but man, it's a drama, and the Japanese cast sells it. So I one of the first animes I watched with my husband was Death Note. Okay.
And couldn't handle it in English.
Okay.
Like just the way the actors were speaking, it just wasn't resonating. There was a particular laugh that one of the characters had that every time I heard it, I was just like thrown out of the world, and I just was focusing on the actor rather than the show. So once I watched that in Japanese, that got a whole lot better. Yeah. So yeah, I think it can be actor versus
Funimation did a lot to. I think they put together a pretty good group of people. They do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
So my first anime was also Pokemon. Also didn't know it was anime or what that anime. We'll probably get some comments. It's anime, not anime. But yeah, I knew what anime was then later with Dragon Ball Z. I think Toonami on Cartoon Network. Eventually, when we got that stuff, was pretty big and important to me. They had other shows on there as well. Gundam, I got exposed to that way.
Yep.
And eventually, I found my favorite anime that way. So.
And what is your favorite anime?
Cowboy Bebop.
On record, everybody. Cowboy Bebop.
I know, it's such a unique answer, right? No one says that ever.
So what is this anime? I've never heard of it.
But I'll go one step further and say it's maybe my favorite television show ever.
Ooh, okay.
It is up there. It's in the top 3 for
opinions.
sure.
Okay.
So, how about you?
Mine is a newer one because... Please don't hate me. I have not yet watched Cowboy Bebop all the way through.
I remember it. Yep.
I've watched like the first couple episodes. It's one of the ones I'm watching right now in tandem with other things. But my favorite one right now is Sword Art Online. Season 1, not Season 2. I feel like Season 2 is kind of actually an entirely different show almost. It doesn't really connect with me. So Season 1, I just felt like everything was well made. It's accessible. It's something that you almost feel like could happen, in the sense of getting trapped in a gaming world, with the way that
the way they do it.
Yeah, the way they do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the way that virtual reality is going. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that you feel like, I could see this. So I think it's relatable in that sense. Too.
Sure. Well,
excellently produced.
Speaking of that, with the season 1 versus season 2, I don't know who posed the question, but it was like, what do you want to see continue? What anime do you want to see more of? And I don't know what to say for that, because a lot of things that I've gotten are, I have gotten the things I want, a lot of them, and a lot of the stuff is like, maybe you should just leave it, because a lot of times it ends up not. Now, I heard season 3 of Sword Art Online is supposed to be pretty good. Okay. So I don't know, but
I'll come back and give it another shot. I think we can both agree with Tokyo Ghoul.
Yep.
You're getting in another shot.
Yep.
So, but I'd like to see a regular Magic High School come back. That was a 1-season show.
Okay.
That I felt was done really well. It ended on a big cliffhanger that I feel like they have yet to resolve.
Cool.
And I hear there's rumblings of a season 2, so that makes my anime loving heart happy.
Nice. Well, we brought up anime because we got a new season of Tokyo Ghoul coming, and today we're going to be watching a bunch of different anime.
Yes, we're having our own home con.
Yep. So we can't always make it to all the anime conventions, or all of them, a couple of them, or whatever a year. So have our own, and hopefully we come out with some new shows we want to watch.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. We can report back on if there's anything that blows our minds and have to let everybody know about it.
Yeah, it'll be part of our week in review next week.
Yeah. So we're running over time. We're going to try to do episodes a little bit shorter than what we were before. Let us know what you think on timing. We're on. You've been working on Facebook page,
Twitter. Yep.
So all the social meds. We've got this will go on YouTube. We're on most of the podcasts, big podcast platforms. So make sure to check us out there. And looking ahead, Oscars are coming.
Yep.
So we'll probably be doing some Oscar stuff. Might break down some fashion.
Yes. We're quite the fashion critics. We've done our own, I think, internal, but now we'll share opinions with the world.
Yep.
They need to be shared.
So thanks for joining us. If you're part of the live audience, thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye, everyone.